Good evening, you are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sends a cable of condolences to His Excellency the President of Indonesia on the victims of the earthquake and tsunami that hit the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. Before the United Nations General Assembly, His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi stresses that the Sultanate supports all initiatives to achieve peace in the Middle East and the world. His Excellency, the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, meets in New York with a number of officials from different world countries. And more than 9 billion Omani Riyals is the foreign direct investment in the Sultanate at the end of the second quarter of 2018. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sent a cable of condolences to His Excellency Joko Widodo, President of Indonesia, on the victims of earthquake and tsunami that hit the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. The Sultanate stressed its support for all initiatives that achieve peace and security and stability in the Middle East and the world. This came in a speech before the General Assembly of the 73rd session of the United Nations, delivered by His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah. The Sultanate also called to concentrate efforts of the United Nations in facing challenges and resolving international disputes to achieve peace. It also stressed its readiness to exert all efforts to return to an optimistic environment to reach a comprehensive agreement that takes into consideration the future of peaceful coexistence in the Middle East. The Sultanate also called for exerting more efforts to assist Yemen and adopt a human initiative to provide all governorates of Yemen with aid and facilitate the use of airports and ports for this purpose. It also affirms that human assistance and facilities from the Sultanate of Oman are continuing and all land, sea and air outlets will remain open for the Yemeni people. His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, held a number of sessions of talks and meetings on the sideline of the works of the 73rd session of the General Assembly of the United Nations in New York. This came within the context of the Sultanate's keenness to strengthen political relations with these countries in the fields that achieve prosperity for all and within its tireless endeavour to safeguard international peace and security. His Excellency discussed the Syrian crisis with his Syrian counterpart Walid al-Muslim. His Excellency also met UN Coordinator for the peace process in the Middle East. Enhancing peace in the world was the centre of discussion at the meeting of His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah with the chairman of the International Peace Organization. His Excellency also discussed with the Deputy Assistant of the Secretary of State for Gulf Affairs, Timothy Landerking, the role of the Sultanate to find a diplomatic solution for the Yemeni crisis. He also met the foreign ministers of Azerbaijan, Kosovo and North Korea. His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, concluded by meeting the United Nations Secretary General. His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah met with the Secretary General of the Gulf Cooperation Council, Dr. Abdulatif Al-Ziani. During the meeting, they discussed cooperation, exerted efforts to solve disputes and achieve the aspirations of the GCC's people in prosperity, security and stability. His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, participated in the meeting that gathered foreign ministers from the GCC, Egypt and Jordan with the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on the sidelines of the work of the General Assembly of the United Nations in New York. The meeting discussed developments in the international and regional arenas and stressed the need to achieve peace and stability in Syria, Yemen and Iraq. During the meeting, the US Secretary of State praised the partnership that connects the United States with the Council, stressing the importance of the role of the two sides in achieving stability in the region. The foreign direct investment in the Sultanate at the end of the second quarter of 2018 stood at 9.7 billion Omani Riyals, recording a growth of 1.4 billion Riyals from the second quarter of last year, according to the data issued by the National Centre for Statistics and Information. The United Kingdom topped the list of countries with FDI in the Sultanate until the end of the second quarter of 2018, reaching 4.7 billion Omani Riyals compared to 3.7 billion Omani Riyals in the same period of 2017. This was followed by the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait with 1 billion Riyals and 425.9 million Riyals respectively. The FDI from Qatar and Bahrain until the end of the second quarter of 2018 stood at 390.2 million and 344.8 million Omani Riyals. The FDI from the US, Switzerland, India and the Netherlands until the end of the second quarter of 2018 stood at 310.1 million Riyals, 290.4 million, 787.7 million and 260.3 million Riyals respectively. The FDI from other countries accounted for 1.6 billion Omani Riyals. The total bank credit of the commercial banks in the Sultanate by the end of June 2018 stood at 20,940.1 million Omani Riyals compared to 20,108.6 million during the same period of 2017, comprising an increase of 4.11%. The Central Bank of Oman said that the personal loan sector obtained 8,292.7 million Riyals, 39.6% of the total bank credit to commercial banks. The construction sector obtained 1,986.4 million Riyals with 9.5%. The service sector obtained 1,986.1 million with 9.5%, followed by the industrial sector at 1,519.1 million Omani Riyals with 7.3%. The Bulletin pointed out that the size of the bank credit to commercial banks in the Sultanate of other economic activities amounted by the end of June 2018 to about 712.6 million Omani Riyals with an increase of 3.4%. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry extended the period of exemption of commercial records of companies whose records have expired until the end of December 2016 and the previous delay penalties until the end of December 2018. The Ministry said that it deleted the commercial records of individual institutions that have no workforce and have not conducted their business activities for several years. The Ministry clarified that the number of completed commercial records reached 39,711 commercial records during the period from the beginning of 2017 to September 25th of this year. Within the aim to produce the latest medical developments in heart diseases, the National Centre for Medicine and Heart Surgery, in cooperation with Oman Heart Association, organised an open day in the Walaya of Nizwa. The event coincided with the celebrations of World Heart Day, which falls on the 29th of September every year. Various awareness activities were introduced during the ceremony, in which those in charge of the event stressed the importance of periodical checkups for those over 40 years old. The event was aimed at acquainting the public with the risks of heart disease. The activities also focused on prevention factors such as regular checkups, sports and balanced food intake. The event was held at Nizwa Grand Mall under the patronage of His Excellency Mohammed bin Salem Al Tibai, Minister of Environment and Climate Affairs. In an endeavour to spread traffic awareness culture among all segments of society, the activities of the Traffic Safety Exhibition were organised in the Walaya of Soor in the Governorate of South Shakir. The exhibition, which witnessed the participation of a number of authorities and private sector institutions, was accompanied by a number of events and awareness activities which enhanced the values of traffic safety. The event also included training practices which aim to reduce traffic accidents, as well as distributing booklets in this field. Still to come in our news bulletin. The world's biggest shipping firm tests the Russian Arctic route. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. An earthquake-spawned tsunami swept away buildings and killed at least several hundred people on the central Indonesian island of Sulawesi, dumping victims across a devastated landscape that rescuers were struggling to reach today, hindered by damaged roads and broken communications. The disaster agency said 384 people were killed in the hard-hit city of Palu alone. They said tens to hundreds of people were taking part in a beach festival in Palu when the tsunami struck at dusk yesterday. In some places, the water rose as high as 6 meters. Palu, which has more than 380,000 people, was strewn with debris from collapsed buildings. The city is built around a narrow bay that apparently magnified the force of the tsunami waters as they race into the tight inlet. Communications with the area were difficult because power and telecommunications were cut, hampering search and rescue efforts. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has arrived in Cologne as part of his state visit to Germany. Later today, Erdogan is due to open a mosque which was built by a group in the city with ties to Turkey. Erdogan's visit to Germany is aimed at reducing tensions between the two NATO allies. He had breakfast with German Chancellor Angela Merkel in Berlin today before flying to Cologne. Germany and Turkey have clashed over numerous issues in recent years, including Turkey's jailing of German journalists. The rhetoric escalated to the point where Erdogan called Germany's mainstream parties enemies of Turkey and accused German officials of acting like Nazis, prompting Merkel to condemn his comments. A cargo vessel of Denmark's AP Moller Maersk, the world's biggest shipping group, arrived in St. Petersburg port after passing through the Russian Arctic in a one-off trial journey as a result of melting sea ice. Maersk's chief technical officer said the trial allowed them to gain exceptional operational experience, adding that the Venter Maersk and all systems aboard performed well in the unfamiliar environment. The ship, which had a cargo of frozen fish, left Russia's Pacific port city of Vladivostok on August 22nd. The Northern Sea route could be a shorter route for journeys from East Asia to Europe than the Northwest Passage over Canada because it will likely be free of ice sooner due to climate change. Experts say it could reduce the travel distance from East Asia to Europe from the 21,000 kilometers it takes to go via the Suez Canal to 12,800 kilometers. That would cut transit time by 10 to 15 days. Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of cloud accumulation and scattered rainfall over the Hajar Mountains. Low clouds and fog late at night and early morning are expected over the coasts of the Arabian Sea and Sea of Oman. Winds will be southwesterly to southerly, light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sends a cable of condolences to His Excellency, the President of Indonesia, on the victims of the earthquake and tsunami that hit the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. Before the United Nations General Assembly, His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi stresses that the Sultanate supports all initiatives to achieve peace in the Middle East and the world. His Excellency, the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, meets in New York with a number of officials from different world countries. And more than 9 billion Omani Riyals is the foreign direct investment in the Sultanate at the end of the second quarter of 2018. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.